Alright guys, how's it going? Continuing with the Friday series, but first I'm going to announce my plan for the week, which I've said in many videos. Anytime I say I have a plan, not going to happen, like according to plan, like at all. But 3 more days till the end of August, so I definitely want to get Argento's Opera, Trauma, and Mother of Tears out before the month ends. So figuring doing Jason Goes to Hell after this, then something in this movie reminded me of Creepshow. Well, Creepshow 2 specifically, and I remembered that I rewatched those like a week ago and took notes of them and everything. So I'm gonna do the Creepshow movies after Jason Goes to Hell. I'm going upstate tomorrow to see my daughter for the week, so we're gonna be back in the haunted sauna location, which I love that room. Great acoustics too, actually, so I don't have to worry about sound or anything. Not like I worry about fucking anything on this channel, so it doesn't really matter. But Creepshow 1 and 2 later tonight, and then in the next 2 days or so, the rest of Argento's films. And then really thinking about doing Carpenter's Halloween. Now that I'm going through this whole series that got me into horror, Halloween was the first, so it'd be nice to talk about that one too. Save the rest of the franchise for October, which is what I planned on doing at the beginning. But let's jump into 1989's Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, directed by Rob Eden? I don't know, never heard of him again. And we get a little New York City narration here, which, just like in the movie Maniac, William Lustig's Maniac from 1980, I love movies that take place in New York City, like in the early to like throughout the 80s. Just like Maniac, this movie, it captures the grimy fucking feel of New York City so well before they clean the whole city up. Like, maybe it's just me as a New Yorker, like I don't live in Manhattan, but I've been in and out of Manhattan more times than I can fucking imagine. But just seeing how sleazy New York City was in the late 70s, 80s, would just, I mean, it's really no different today. It's just like they threw a blanket over it so you can't see any of it. Trust me, all the shit you see in this movie still is going on in New York City. Just not wide out in the open and shit, with fucking burning barrels and sludge and fucking barrels all over the city. Like, really funny to see that though. And with like the opening shots in New York and the Twin Towers and stuff, cool to see that. Then the whole Crystal Lake not leading to an ocean thing, I'm just going to brush on right past that, because that has been discussed so many times since this movie came out, that it's a fucking lake. There's no outlet to an ocean in a lake. So how did they get to New York? None of that makes sense, so we're just going to skip right on past that. And then we have another fucking rat in here, but this rat, he's not jump scaring anybody, and it's 1980s New York. So he gets a pass. And we don't have to worry about that rat. I'm not going to come down hard on him. So he gets his one appearance in these movies where he gets a pass. He gets a little slide there. So we have this boat with seniors who just graduated from Lakeview, right? Lakeview High School. And we get Jason electrocuted back to life. Again, just like in Jason Lives. So I guess that's just how you bring him back to life. Like, if for some reason you want to bring Jason back to life, just shock the shit out of him. Seems to work, like, with both of those movies. And then, who plays a fucking prank like that on your girlfriend? Like, I say this all the time. Fucking, like, what type of prank is that? And just to be in bed with her, with your girlfriend, and she doesn't know anything about Jason or the murders there or anything like that, and to tell it in like the whole story in this creepy fucking way, that's like, you could tell this girl is getting like terrified of this story, and then just like, it's just a bunch of stories, good night, and just like that's so cruel, man. And then just to take that further and dress up in a hockey mask and fucking stab your girlfriend with a fake knife, like, this guy isn't getting laid for the rest of his fucking relationship with this girl. Are you serious? Like, who pulls a prank like that on their girlfriend? No one, really, because they wouldn't have a girlfriend after that. Like, there's no one sticking around with that bullshit. Then Jason stabs, what the fuck is that? Can someone please tell me what that is? Like, it's the same thing that Paul gets stabbed with in the dick and lifted in the air in Friday Part 4. It looks like a harpoon gun or something like that. It has like all the tubes on it. What the fuck is that? Please someone tell me, because I don't know what that is. But it's like some type of gun thing. And he stabs him with that, and then the girlfriend in the crawl space. And like, Jason takes his time in this movie. Like, it's not just quick kills. Like, there's a lot of him like just looking at his victims and like slowly inching forward them with whatever weapon he's using, and then kills them. It's like he really wants to strike more fear like into his victims before they die. It's a cool little touch. And then we have Rennie, the main girl here, who I don't get anything with her, with the visions of young Jason. Like, I don't know what any of that's about. I mean, yeah, she drowned almost from her uncle pushing her in the water, which is fucked. I'll get to that later. But like, she can't swim, and like supposedly back then when she was a kid, she got pushed in the water, like Jason grabbed her or something, so she sees visions. I don't know any of that. Like the psychic stuff from Tina in the last movie, like they had to carry that in to this one a little bit, I guess. And then this captain tries putting his son in command of the ship. He tries to make him the captain. Like, that's a lot of faith to put into a high school senior. Like, in charge of all these people's lives on this boat, and he's gonna put this kid, his son, as the captain. It's a good thing that kid said fuck this and walked off, because they would have never made it out of Camp Crystal Lake. Not that they could anyway, but again, I'm not getting into that. But no way, that ship would have been sunk at the bottom of Camp Crystal Lake. Then Sean, that's the kid's name, the captain's son. Sean gives Rennie the Statue of Liberty necklace. It's cute. They're going to Manhattan, but available for $9.99 at literally the thousands of side street New York City tourist shops. Like, any one of them, take your pick. $9.99. And then the girl's not playing guitar, which I noticed. I've said this in the past in like a video or two. Anytime that they have someone playing guitar, like, because I'm a musician, for people who don't know, it bothers me so much. Not just in horror movies, in all movies, when there's someone playing an instrument and it's so obvious that they're not playing an instrument. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a gripe for me. But like, if I was making the movie, like, I'd say, like, for casting and stuff, like, need someone who can play guitar. That way they can play, and it adds authenticity to it. But like I said, nobody fucking pays attention to that. Then she gets the guitar smashed in her face, which looks cool. It's an inventive kill. This movie was a lot more fun on this rewatch than I ever remember it being. Like, yeah, it's stupid as all can be. And yeah, we got Friday 7 Jason joining us here. I forgot all about him for the last video, so since it's still Kane Hodder, so he's making his little cameo here. This dog has nothing on Gordon from part 4. Like, he's the king of dogs in the Friday series. You can't beat him. But he is representing his local Bloods with his little handkerchief and stuff. So he comes representing. He's packing. He should make it through this whole thing. And we have cocaine peer pressure in the 80s. Fucking, I'm sure that was a thing. This girl, and I love how they like say to Rennie when she comes in, like, you want to hit? And she's like, no, I'm good. And then like later on, she ends up getting drugged up with coke, like by the street thug junkie guys. Really clever with that. Then we get the sauna kill with the rock through the chest. Looks really cool, actually. Like, not a lot of gore like the last few movies, but it looks cool. Like with the rock steaming, and then like when he pulls it off the guy, like you see all the blood on his stomach, and like when Jason's hand comes back, it's like you can see the steam coming off of it. It's inventive. It's cool. And then Rennie gets pushed into the water by that bitch. Tamara, is that her name? Tamara? Something like that. And then they get the lifesaver for her. Every time I see a lifesaver in any movie, I think of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello in one of their movies. When they're drowning, he's like, who's got a lifesaver? And he just takes out the candy and chucks it in the water. Like, every time I see a lifesaver in a movie. Then we get a new Crazy Ralph in this. For some reason, like, this guy just, he came with the boat, I'm assuming, right? Because they didn't hire this guy. Like, from the way he talks and going on about Jason this whole time, and like how Charles like just wants to fucking kill this guy, thinking he's the murderer on the boat. He had to just be a guy who works for the people who own the boat. Like, there's no way that they just hired this crazy dude, like, to be on there. And then what the fuck is that with the mirror scene when Rennie's looking in the mirror and Jason, like boy Jason, pops out, but like he looks like an Asian kid. Like he straight up looks like an Asian kid, like the ghost from The Grudge. Like that's how he looks. Like he looks so weird in that scene. I don't know what it is, but he looks like a small Asian boy, like with like half his face fucked up. He looks better like in the other child Jason things we see. He looks like, I almost said normal. Not normal, but you know what I mean. Like, he looks like how Jason should look as a kid, not a fucking Asian dude. And then, fucking Charles, man. Like, the whole thing with Tamara trying to fuck Charles out of her final project and everything. Like, anytime I see that in movies, I say to myself, what if it didn't work? Like, yeah, like, these girls were trying to do this and shit like this, like, they pretty much have it in their head, like, I got this, fucking, I will handle this, man, like, don't you worry. And it always works out in most movies. This is one of those few movies that it doesn't work out in. Like, he pulls away and shit. And that's gotta be so embarrassing for a girl, a high school girl, to try to seduce her teacher and sees that it's working at the beginning and then just get shut down completely and then be like, now you're not, like, you're gonna spend next year in high school again. Like, that's gotta be like, fuck, man, like, this shit didn't work on this guy? Like, really? Come on. And then good thing the guy with the video camera was there to get, like, her all, like, almost naked and shit with him in the room, because she would have been fucked otherwise. So, good job, video cameraman. Anyone else wish that this movie at some point just had someone just go, iceberg, right ahead, and, like, it just turned into, like, Titanic, but with Jason on the ship? That would have been such a better movie. Like, having this movie be Titanic with Jason on board, so you have to deal with the ship sinking, and then you have to deal with Jason going around killing a whole bunch of people from the 19 fucking almost 20s. That's a movie. Pitch that to somebody up in New Line. See what they think of that. I love how Jason breaks the mirror for a piece of glass before he kills Tamara. That's so cool. Like I was saying in one of these videos, that he doesn't have like a tool belt around him for like if he doesn't have a weapon, or if he loses a weapon and he has to like think on his feet fast. This is him thinking on his feet. He fucking just broke through that door and fucking just punches the mirror into a million pieces and then picks up a shard of glass and just stabs her with it. Awesome. Really like that little touch of him just destroying the mirror like that. Really cool. And then the captain gets his throat slit. There's some nice lighting and colors in this movie. Like, I don't remember that. Like, this is a decently shot film. Like, there's some really cool coloring and lighting that reminds me a little bit of Argento, which is funny that I've been doing Argento all month. But, like, there's some nice greens and red lighting and stuff like that, like, throughout the movie on the ship in certain, like, rooms. It looks really cool. Like, really good, lighting and coloring in some of this movie. And then Jason cuts the radio right on time. He knows exactly when this kid's trying to use the radio to get help and snips the fucking wires or destroys them instantly. Perfect timing, as always, as I would expect. Nothing less from you, Jason. And then he strangles the Asian chick in the disco room. Could have got a better kill than that, but it is what it is. I love when Julius when he's in there with the captain and he's like, I say we all go find this motherfucker, like before he finds us. And the teacher, whatever, Charles, is like, language. You know, like, seriously, dude, like, you're worried about his language? You got 2 corpses around you and a killer on the boat, and you're worried about this kid saying motherfucker? Really? Like, that's fucking dumb. But then, like, his line, Julius, when like 3 or 4 guys are like grouped around and he's like, Julius, what are you going with? And he's like, nothing. And I always remember because he's like a boxer or something like that, and he has that whole fight with Jason later. So I forgot a little bits and pieces of this movie, because I haven't seen this one in a while, like a few years. And his line of just like, what do you bring with you? Nothing but this gun. And he lifts up a fucking gun. That shit's so funny. That is such a funny line. And then when the camera guy is filming the body, and then Jason appears on the film, that's cool. Like, this is the only known footage of Jason Voorhees and one of the most crazy crimes in American history. The Texas Chainsaw. I gotta do that series too, fucking. I've been waiting on that. Which, part 2, best in the series. That's my opinion. Very unpopular, but it is my opinion. As I've said many times on this channel, I have a lot of unpopular sequel opinions, and that is one of them. But I do know a lot of people who love Texas Chainsaw too. I mean, how do you not like Chop Top? Fucking, this is Bill Moseley. Fucking, he makes that whole movie. And then we get the electrocution kill, which I said in Cheech's kill, the hippie dude, in 3. Electrocution kills don't really do much for me, but like in slasher films, but like this one isn't half bad. Like he gets thrown on the thing, electrocuted, and it starts a fire and stuff. Decent, like real cool. Then with the whole line of Charles saying, like looking for Sean and saying like he's the son of a fucking captain, like he's got to know how to operate this thing. Why? Like what a weird line that is. It's like your father can be a fucking trapeze artist and you can get up there and slip and break your neck the first try. Like it doesn't matter what your father does. That doesn't mean that you inherit those fucking skills that are learned skills. Like that line is so weird. Like he's a son of a captain. He should be able to operate this thing. Well, yeah, I'm the son of a nuclear physicist. I should be able to fucking break the atom. Fucking like, come on, like. And none of that scientifically makes any sense, but it does not matter because none of this movie makes logical sense. So I can make as little sense as I want. That's how I approach these movies. And then Jason straight up fucking teleports in this movie. I said in the last one that he does, it's like, but you can kind of explain it away, like total bullshit. Like explaining it away, but you can. Like him like somehow got into the water, like without that girl hearing or seeing him, and then him popping up from the water. This, he straight up teleports. Like he's on the fucking deck, then the guy climbs up the ladder like 40 something feet in the air, and like 3 seconds later Jason's there and fucking like throws him off and he gets impaled on part of the boat. Immediately his ass is up there. Like he's straight up teleports in this movie, which is something we see as the series goes forward. Then Ralph 2.0 gets stabbed in the back with the axe, or I don't know if you could stab someone with an axe, hacked in the back with an axe, and we find out he's not the killer. Well, we don't find out, Charles finds out, so, and he's still like hell-bent about the whole Jason thing, like throughout this whole movie. Then Stephen King's pen gets to stab Jason in the eye. So that's one fucking worthwhile pen to try to get your hands on, man. I don't know how the teacher got her hands on Stephen King's supposed high school pen to give Rennie at the beginning of this. But now, not only has it been written by, like, with Stephen King's hand, it's also been in Jason Voorhees' eye. So definitely want to buy that pen if you can find it anywhere. It's probably worth a decent amount. Then they get on the lifeboat and everything, and get to a lifeboat quickly. Don't wait. You remember what I told you about the boats? It's all right, Mr. Andrews. We only have 5 of us. We're gonna be fine. Like there's only 5 of them that get on that life raft, on that lifeboat. Like 5 from that whole crew, and we're hitting like an hour and 4 minutes before they set foot on Manhattan, like in Manhattan at all. Like an hour and 4 minutes before we get there. And Julius is way too happy to be in New York after everything that's just happened to them. Like he's fucking like singing I Love New York, and he's like fucking really having a grand old time, like forgetting about all the murders of his classmates that just happened and that Jason is after them and all of that. Like he still has time to celebrate, like, and be so happy that they're in New York City. Like I don't know. That's fucking strange. We get a cool shot of the Statue of Liberty, which is mentioned a few times in this movie. And then what? Jason just swam there? He just swam the rest of the way to Manhattan. Like I said in like a few videos ago, for someone who never learned to swim, and it's brought up again in this movie that he never learned how to swim, and drowned in Camp Crystal Lake in '57, this motherfucker really learned how to swim amazingly as this series went forward. Like this guy is like he beats out Michael Phelps. Like this guy can swim all the way from I can't fucking talk. Camp Crystal Lake. Yeah, that's what it is. Camp Crystal Lake. a little bit further than that, I guess they made before they put the anchors down in the boat. So he swam that entire way. I don't know. He's an amazing swimmer for somebody. He should have never drowned as a kid at all. And then him seeing the the hockey billboard with the goalie mask on it, with him just staring at it, that's cool. That's a cool little shot there. And then these people are having a terrible New York City experience, man. First, they get all their classmates murdered by Jason, and they're being pursued by Jason. Then they get robbed by these two hoodlums on the street. Then Sam Whitemoon, that's what reminded me of Creepshow. This guy reminds me of Sam Whitemoon from Creepshow 2, from the first segment with the Indian statue. God, I love Sam Whitemoon in that movie. What a great character. This hair's going to get me paid and laid. Don't worry, Fatso. We're going to be making our money soon enough. I love Sam Whitemoon. He's such a great character. And yeah, and then fucking like his character trying to rape Rennie. Like, they're having a terrible trip to New York, man. Terrible, terrible. Then Jason shows up after he injects her with cocaine and like about to fucking rape her. Like, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then Jason, like, kind of saves the day in a way and stabs him with a hypodermic needle, and that looks really cool, actually. Like, with the needle coming out of the skin and stuff and twisting, like, cool effect. Like, it looks really good. And then Julius, man, he really gives his all. Like, he gives his all against Jason. Like, he probably puts up the biggest fight of anyone in this series against him. Maybe like the android, whatever her name is from Jason X. But man, he goes to town punching this guy. Like, his hands are bloodied when he's out of breath and he can't go on anymore. And just take your best shot. Favorite kill in this movie. Like, absolutely. When he just fucking boom, and fucking his head flies off and you get the POV shot spinning like it's the head you're seeing the perspective from, and then just falls in the dumpster and the lid shuts on it. That's great. That is such a cool kill. Then the teacher explodes in the cop car after they crash it. I think she's like one of the only people in this series that dies not by being murdered, like by Jason or Mrs. Voorhees, right? Like, if we have Joey, who's murdered by Vic in 5, but if we're like ruling out murder completely, I can only think of the father from the last movie, Tina's father, and the teacher here. Like, that's all I can really think of. She's like one of the few characters who dies not by being murdered. So she halfway made it. All right, she didn't get killed, but she died. And then what an evil fuck that Charles is, man. Telling her about, with that memory, telling her all about Jason, that he's down there and that he couldn't swim, and that he waits down there to grab and bring under the water anybody who can't swim like he can. Then just pushes her in the fucking water. Like, who, that is so fucked up, man. Like, you almost killed your niece. You know she can't swim. What do you think, like, she's just gonna, like, learn, like, in the fucking heat of the moment, like, while adrenaline's pumping, and she fears that she's gonna die or get dragged underwater by this fucking local legend that she's hearing about for the first time? You spring it on her right before pushing her in the water. What an asshole. Like, this guy is such an asshole. Like, it's not even funny. Like just to do that to somebody is absolutely crazy. And that reminds me of a fucking comedian who's, you know, my father never had to learn anything. He's like, he thought men just learn by doing things. We didn't read instructions. We didn't have to learn anything. We just did it. He's like, I remember when I was young and I couldn't swim, and my father would throw me in the water to teach himself CPR. That's awesome. Whoever gets that, good on you. And then he gets now, like, why does Charles, he sees Jason right before he gets killed and drowned in the tub of sewage and shit, and he's like, no, like, you can't, it's you, like, you can't exist, or like, what? He's bewildered to see Jason. Like, this is the first time he saw him, but he saw him when they were all in the cop car. And Julius's head is there, which is cool, and how it rolls off and stuff. And then the cop gets dragged into an alley by Jason, and then they straight up run Jason over. So he's seen him before. So I don't understand any of that. Like, with him saying, like, it's you, like, it can't be, or whatever the fuck he's saying. He's basically saying, like, it can't be Jason. He saw him, like, numerous times before this. So I don't get that whole line. That makes no sense. Then he gets drowned in the raw sewage barrel, which I've always said this with movies, like with drownings, like when a killer's drowning somebody, they only drown them for like 30 seconds. Like, think of any slasher movie or killer movie with a killer or anything like that who drowns one of their victims and stays there making sure that they're drowned for like a full minute or two, which the world record is 25 minutes. Like, I completely got wrong in one of the last videos. But even if you just like pretend that you died, like, why can't people do that? That's what I would do. If someone was putting me into a barrel, right before you go under, you just take a huge breath of air, go under, kick your feet around and shit for like 25, 30 seconds, and then just still. They'll walk away. You get out, you survive, you're the big winner. Like, I don't know, it makes sense to me, but like, you never see it in any of these movies. Like, somebody write that into a script. On the subway, and there's just graffiti all over New York City, and like, the amount of graffiti is insane. And that's how it was back then, but like, they did a good job. Well, I guess I can't say they did a good job, they just took shots of Manhattan. Like, they didn't go around putting the graffiti up and everything, like, that was there already. But there's graffiti when they get on the subway that says Quayton lives. I want to know who Quayton is. Like, was that something they put in for the movie, like to reference something? Or was that just random graffiti that was really there and it was in the shot? Because they kind of like draw attention to it, like by shooting right through the glass it's written on at Rennie's face. So you can see the graffiti like right there. And it says Quayton lives. I would love to know who Quayton is. Maybe he's Manhattan's version of Jason. So we have Quayton versus Jason. And that's New York City's little version of Jason's legend. Quayton. Just like Jason lives in part 6. You have Quayton lives in part 15, or wherever they're at in that series. And then no one reacts to this humongous man dripping wet in a hockey mask, which you can tell just by like looking around his mask and stuff that the rest of his head and face is fucked to hell too. And no one reacts. No one moves. No one like says anything to anyone else. Like, that's like a pretty, not packed, but there's a decent amount of people on that subway car. No one says anything. Like, I don't know, man. Like, some of these things are just nitpicks I make with every movie that these type of things happen in. But it bothers me. Like, I can't help it. Like, I gotta bring it up, like, every single time. But, like, no one reacts. Like, you couldn't, like, that's what I mean. Like, when some people make these movies, it's like, you can't direct the extras there and be like, all right, so when Jason crashes through or, you know, comes into the cab car, I want you all to start screaming and, like, freaking out and stuff like that. That's all it takes. Have them do that, get the shot, and you're done. But no, like, they just sit there. Like, they see this shit all the time. And yeah, it's New York, but like, still, you don't see that all the time in New York. And then Jason gets electrocuted on the third rail in the subway. Looks really cool. So we got 2 electrocutions in here that both are pretty decent, which is a rarity. And I love when he breaks the boombox of the street gang or whatever. Gang, there's fucking like 4 of them. And all he does is fucking just lift his mask up and they're like, yo, it's cool, man, it's cool. And they just run away. That's so funny. At least Jason has a sense of humor about his looks. Like, he knows that all he has to do is just flip that mask up and people are going to be like, oh shit, fucking yeah, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this guy. And they run into the diner and that waitress, they ask her, we need a phone, we're being chased by a killer. She's like, welcome to New York. And then she's like, there's a payphone in the back. And then they start running to the back and she's like, but it doesn't work. Thanks for that completely useless fucking information. Why even bring up the phone if it doesn't work? Like, that's just like reaching out, like almost touching someone to pull them off a ledge. But then at the end, whoops, like, fuck you, and just letting them fall and die. Like, come on. Like, there's a phone, doesn't work though. Alright, thanks. Like, any useful information you can give me to help us get away from this murdering psychopath that we've been chasing. Well, they haven't been chasing him. You know what I mean. Whatever. It's so fucking hot in this room, I can't think. I can't think! With all this fucking heat. Shining a flashlight in Jason's face kills his murder boner instantly. Like, I don't get that either. Like, he goes to kill Sean, and she just flashes a flashlight in his face, and that just completely takes his attention off. And so all you just need for like a Jason survival kit is like the mom's sweater and a flashlight. And like a shaving kit if you're a fucking guy and you have to look like mini Jason. That's all you need. That's your Jason Voorhees survival kit. And yes, it'll be up on my website for $59.99 later today. You can order your own Jason Voorhees survival kit. That way, if you're ever in Camp Crystal Lake, you will be prepared to die, most likely, because it's not going to help at all. Then the whole ending of this movie, just the whole thing, like, is ridiculous. It's the most stupid ending in this whole series. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with this. With the sludge thrown on Jason when Rennie throws the toxic waste barrel at his face and it starts melting and he screams like he sounds like a fucking dinosaur. He sounds like a fucking velociraptor. Like I don't know what that was with that scream, but it's fucking weird as can be. Then the toxic waste comes through and melts him back into a child. I have no idea. Like, still don't know what to make of that. Like, they really pitched that. Like, during the making of this movie. And no one on set said that this is an absolutely retarded idea. And there should be no way that this is the ending for our movie. And none of the higher-ups listened. None of them said, you're right, this is fucking stupid. Nothing like that. This was accepted as the best ending that they can come up with. Like, it would have been better if Jason was walking, like, towards them in the tunnel and just, like, went like this and, like, a dozen doves went flying out from his jacket or something. Like, like something. And then they stab him with an axe in the head and, again, stab him with an axe. Whatever. In the head with an axe after doves. How can you not be pleased with seeing a dozen doves fly at the screen and then seeing a guy get axed in the head? You can't. Much better than Jason turning into a child again after toxic waste from the New York City sewage fucking tunnels wash all over him. Just the stupidest fucking ending there is. And then the dog makes it. Again, he makes it. So, like, the dogs have a good track record in this. I mean, we can't really count Muffin because we don't know what happened to Muffin. If the whole dream sequence, if Muffin's alive, Muffin's dead, we saw the carcass. So who the fuck knows if Muffin survived? But Gordon survived, and this dog survived, which is cool. And that's basically it, fucking. Like, he really doesn't take Manhattan. Like, I know they didn't have the budget to shoot that long in Manhattan and everything, but he really only kills, like, 5-6 people in Manhattan. Which is pretty much a normal night in Manhattan. Like, if you really think of it, like 5 to 6 murders is like not really anything, like not really any big news in New York City, especially back then, like at all. So like, he definitely, when he's looking at that hockey mask sign and everything, and it said like your competition is cut out for you or something like that, he has his competition cut out for him because he has to return to New York and really like slaughter like 40, 50, 60 people or something. I would love to see It Takes Manhattan Part 2 and have them do it right this time. Absolutely. That would be such a fun film to watch. So Jason Goes to Hell is next, which I haven't seen this movie. This is by far my least watched of the series, and by far the longest time since I've seen that movie. Like, I don't think I've seen Jason Goes to Hell in like 5-6 years, and I hardly remember it. Like, so I'm going to be very interested to rewatch that now and see how it holds up to my memories, which there's not a lot of them. So there are going to be new memories created, Crystal Lake memories, and I will be back soon with Friday Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. It's fucking over finally after this. Alright guys, I'll see you in a bit. Take care.